Let's start with making a new file. I'm going to go up to the File menu, click New. Now I've already saved this. Sorry about that background noise. My cat is scratching on my desktop. So this is just a square, 11 1/4 by 11 1/4. That's because I'm probably going to cut this out of a piece of 2 by 12, which is 11 1/4 wide, and just decided to make it square. So the thickness of a 2 by 12 is 1.5 inches. This is single-sided. I'm going to Z0 from the material surface. And material settings, I'm using pine. And we've got it set up now. Okay, so I'm going to start by importing a bitmap. And the particular bitmap I used is it's just a Fleur de Lis. If I can find it. There we go, Fleur de Lis drawing. And I got this online. I don't remember the source of this bitmap, but what I can tell you is that if this was a paid or a for sale graphic, I paid for it. If it was free, I probably just downloaded it or copied it or whatever. But if somebody was asking money for this and I downloaded it, I would have paid for it, because that's what you do. If somebody's put in the effort to make something like this and is asking for compensation for their work, don't steal it from them, guys. Pay for the work that that is being done. Okay, so I've imported this into VCarve Pro, and you can do this with VCarve Desktop as well. You just might have to size it appropriately. What I'm going to do is rotate this about 45 degrees so that I can make it just a little bit larger. Now I'm going to size it in the center of the workpiece. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key and then just drag this corner. The Shift key keeps it centered in the workpiece. Okay, that looks pretty good. And I'll just bump it up a little bit. Give myself plenty of room around the outside of the bitmap for the profile bit. I'll probably put this on the table using a fence on the x-axis and the y-axis. And I don't want the profile bit running into my fence and cutting it, so I just like to give myself plenty of room on the outside. Okay, so we've got that bitmap imported. Now what we want to do is get rid of some of this inside. Well, before we do that, we actually want to trace the bitmap. So I'm going to go over here to Trace Bitmap. It's the little icon with the bird in it. Fit vectors to selected bitmap, and I'm just going to do black and white. I know this is a multicolor bitmap, but we don't need to worry about all those colors. We can just do black and white. I'm just going to leave the default settings. Do a quick preview, and this shows you the tracing that's going to go around this bitmap. This is a pretty high contrast picture, so the tracing is going to be fairly accurate. Okay, so I'm going to apply that. I like the way it looks. We'll close that. All right, now I'm going to hide the bitmap layer. So now all we've got is the tracing. And now I want to get rid of some of this interior stuff. It's a little bit too busy. All we want really is the outer profile and the first offset here, although we're going to redo that in just a second. I'll show you that. All right, we're back in the drawing menu and in the 2D view, and I've selected the outer profile of the Fleur de Lis. So now we're just going to do a profile cut. I guess we didn't really have to go back to the drawing menu. We could have stayed in the toolpath menu to do this, but either way, now with the outer perimeter of the drawing selected, we're going to do a profile toolpath. And again, I think I'm going to select the hog bit again. This is a great bit, by the way. If you don't have something like this, check out IDC Woodcraft. And last I heard, this bit was out of stock, but he was getting several more made, so just check that out. Hopefully he's got them back in stock. It's well worth ordering. All right, we're going to do this in 2 passes. Even though it's roughly an 1.5 inch chunk of wood, this bit can do it. As long as your CNC can handle the stress, the bit can. So, all right, so we've set our cut depth to 1.5 inches or whatever thickness your workpiece is. Now, I'm not going to add any tabs, and the reason for that is I normally hold my workpieces down with double-sided tape. So I'll have the entire back of this workpiece on the spoil board held down very securely with carpet tape. It works pretty well, as long as you keep your spoil board clean and the bottom side of your workpiece is clean. Shouldn't have any problems with that. All right, so I'm going to calculate this profile. There's your profile. Let's preview it, get rid of the excess, and see how it looks. So, not too bad. A couple of things I'll point out. Now, let me go back to 2D here for a second. So, right in here, in these little corners, you can see a very, very sharp point that it's going to be difficult for any bit to get into. If you want that sharp point, you're probably going to have to either cut it on a bandsaw, or maybe a coping saw you can get in there and cut that with, something like that. If you want that, if that's important to you. Same with right here. With the router bit, you're going to wind up having a little fillet in there. But let's take a look at that and see how bad that really is. I don't think that looks so bad the way it is. With this little fillet and this little fillet, I can live with that. So I'm not going to worry too much about cutting out the sharp points. I think that's perfectly fine. Let me know what you think in the comments. Okay, so that's your basic outline, your basic shape. You're going to have some sanding to do. On the interior, I would say probably your best bet is to use a sanding sponge on a drill. You can hand sand it. It'd take a little bit longer, but you might get a little bit more detail doing that. Now, there's a couple other things you can do as well. If you want to, you can do a chamfer cut on the outer corner and on the inner corner, just to ease that edge, as Norm Abram used to say. You're going to want to get rid of these sharp edges one way or another, however you decide to do it. You can do it by hand also with some sandpaper. Probably start with about 120 grit. Good quality sandpaper will do the trick. Just sand all the way around on that that edge and the inner edge. Take a little extra time, make sure you get every little nook and cranny. Got a kind of a sharp point right here you might want to ease a little bit. Okay, use your judgment on that. So you've got the basic tray made. The next step is to carve the text into it. Okay, so we're getting ready to create our toolpath for the script text, and we're just going to do a VCarve toolpath. So with the text selected, go up here to the VCarve tool. Now, remember, this is where it can get a little confusing if you haven't done a lot of this. Remember where we cut out this pocket and we decided to cut it 1 inch deep. All right, so that's important when you cut this text, if you put it on the bottom, because you want, if you don't put in a start depth equaling the depth of this pocket, it's just going to cut air. Okay, so you need to tell VCarve that your start depth is going to be the bottom of this pocket, which we said was going to be 1 inch. So up here in the corner, start depth 1 inch, leave flat depth blank. We're going to use a 90-degree 1/4 inch V tool, or V bit rather. Okay. We don't need to do any clearance, and we're not going to project the toolpath onto a 3D model because we do not have a 3D model. Okay, and we're just going to leave that toolpath name the default VCarve 1, and we'll calculate. Okay, there's our toolpath, and let's preview that, see how it came out. Look at you. Quick and dirty, but I think this actually came out fairly well. I'm pretty pleased with how it looks, or how it's going to look. At some point I will actually cut this out on the machine, and I'll show you that as well and see if what we did on the screen comes out in real life. A couple of things I will probably do. We'll do this after the carve. We already talked about chamfering the edges here. Personally, I think I will do that off the CNC, either with some sandpaper, or if I want a crisper chamfer, or maybe even a round over, I can do that on the router table. I've got like an 1/8 inch round over bit that I can put in there and route this. I am going to want to ease this point, probably round that over, and I might do that. I'll probably just do that on the belt sander. Just kind of roll that over a little bit and make it a little less uncomfortable to pick this up and serve it to your guests with whatever candy you want to put in there. Same down here on these little sharp corners here. We'll probably round those over a bit. But like I said, you can do that in any way you want to. If you have a full woodworking shop like I do, if you have a belt sander, that's probably the easiest way to do it. You're going to need to do some sanding around this when you get done anyway. But however you want to round those edges over, I would round them over top and bottom. Okay, so around here as well. And then all you have to do after that is apply a finish. Okay. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this was somewhat useful to you. You know, it's a quick and dirty video on how to do something that's, I think it's fairly useful. You might even sell a few of these. hopefully we'll see how it goes. But fun little project, and very basic skills on the CNC required. It's a good project to start out with. So if you have any comments, questions, drop them in the comments, and like and subscribe. All right, appreciate you.